It's Sam's fault. Mary did it wrong. The client didn't submit the form. Why can't people just be accountable? Hi entrepreneurs, I'm Vicky Brown, and you're in the right place if you want to engage your team, boost your business, and grow your leadership muscle. You know, I talk a lot about accountability. Team members have to have accountability. You as a leader has to model accountability. It's all about accountability. But how can you actually foster a culture of accountability in your company? Well, I have 4 excellent tips to help you wrap your arms around getting and keeping a culture of accountability. First up is quality control. Okay, I know you're busy selling and making sure the lights stay on, and QC or quality control is probably the last thing on your mind. You just want to fill the order or assignment. But think about it. If it's not done right, consistently, then you're going to have a huge problem. And I'm sorry to say, but it's not enough that you have solid training in place and you hire the best and you tell everyone to be careful and you have standard operating procedures for everything. Without some sort of check, you're really running in the dark. Without quality control, you don't really have any idea if you're providing consistent value. Well, that is until one or more of your clients hits you with a complaint and you're left thinking, I had no idea. I can't believe that was the way Sally was handling her work. We trained her so well, and we have SOPs for everything. Well, first off, an SOP is great, but only if it's used every time. And you know how it is. We get busy. We've done it a million times before. We don't need the checklist. We know all this stuff by heart. Well, tell it to a pilot. They use a checklist every time. No matter how many times they fly that plane, they use a checklist religiously each time. But I digress. Don't get me talking about SOPs and checklists. Back to the point. You don't want to wait until a client complains. You have to have some method of spot checking, and it needs to be done on a regular basis. Because without that, you won't really have any confidence in what's actually going out the door to your clients. And no, it's not a matter of catching someone. It's about continuously looking after the quality of your product or service. It's in the name, quality control. Now, the next tip is feedback. I mentioned earlier that you don't want to wait until a client complains, but you should actually go farther. You should seek out feedback from your client on how they're feeling about working with you and your company. And the best method I found is the Net Promoter Score. Now, if you haven't heard of the Net Promoter Score, it's a single survey question that asks people to rate the likelihood they'll recommend a company, product, or service to a friend or a colleague. I'm sure you've definitely seen an NPS in action. In fact, I'll bet you've probably been asked to complete one at one time or another. When you look at your NPS, one of the things to focus on is where can you improve? What do you need to do to move the needle and improve your NPS for the next year? So make sure your annual company goals always include taking action to improve your Net Promoter Score, because really, client satisfaction is everything. Sure, you can drum up more sales and bring in more clients, but if you don't keep them, well, that's the whole ballgame. Along the same lines is making sure you have metrics so you can measure output and spot trends up or trends down. Metrics and key performance indicators help you see, at a glance, how the company is doing. So don't skimp here. Sit down and take some quality time to figure out the best things to measure in your business. And then keep track. And last, but certainly not least, the absolute best way to develop a culture of accountability is, well, you guessed it, it's that you have to set the standard. There's just no way around it. Everything flows from you, the leader. When you set the standard, everyone around you will model it. If you show up as someone who's accountable and takes responsibility for their actions, then your team is going to do the same. Now, I know sometimes it's not easy. But how you show up each day is you telling your team how to show up, what you expect from them, what's okay and what isn't. So when you think about something that you want, that you may feel is missing from your team, do a little self-audit. A subtle shift in your thinking and approach might work wonders. If you found this information helpful, please subscribe and share. And remember, your inspired leadership is the secret sauce to having a high-performance team and a wildly successful business you'll love. I'll see you next time on Leader's Journey.